Well, hello, stamping friends. This is Tracy Rather from Plum Crazy Stamping, and it is April 24th and time for Facebook Live. This is the final Flower Fest Facebook Live, so I'll be using one of our floral stamp sets that was in the mini catalog and is actually going to be carrying over to the new catalog. And I'm very excited to share it with you. So if you are watching me on Facebook or on YouTube, I would appreciate it if you would sign in. Let me know where you're from, and then use the comments for any questions or feedback on the projects. If you are on YouTube, you will need to sign into your Google account in order to be able to leave comments. I hope that you will do that and also subscribe to my channel, and then you'll be notified when I do additional videos. Anyway, so glad that you're here today. I'm going to go ahead and add my desktop to what you can see. And I want to say hello to Kelly. Thank you for joining me from California. And Barbara, nice to see you. Okay, so the stamp set we're going to use today is called Stippled Roses. And this is actually a bundle. And this is going to be my product spotlight this month. So that means that if you purchase the bundle, which is a stamp set with a die set, I'll be sending you in email a free 4-card tutorial in how to make 4 different cards using this bundle. And that will be totally free for you. Okay. And then during celebration this year, this was also the designer series paper to match this bundle was provided free with a $50 purchase. And so this set of paper had 12 sheets of paper. It was 6 different sheets that were different 2-sided paper. So I'll just kind of give you a sneak peek at what this looked like. And so there was the more muted side and then more of floral designs or leafy designs on the other side. And I thought this was just gorgeous. You know, actually this one you could color in, and you can do a lot of things with it. And I wanted to share a technique with you in light of there being some muted backgrounds. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually take this one out, and that's what we're going to use today. In addition to some other strips of other colors. But we're going to go ahead and we're first going to get started right with our stamping. So I'm going to take just a muted piece of the designer series paper. And instead of doing my stamping on cardstock today, I'm going to do it on this variegated colored piece of designer series paper. And I want to show you how that's going to do the coloring for me on this beautiful floral image. So I'm actually going to take, and instead of using a lot of times when I am just stamping the images themselves, I'll use black ink. Well, I'm going to use Pecan Pie, which is one of our new colors this year. It kind of replaced soft suede. Let's see here. Hi, Kathy. Hi. Oh, I already said hi to Barbara and Kelly. Nice to see you, Kathy. Okay, so just inking this up in the Pecan Pie. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. There's kind of 2 sides to this piece of paper, and taking the one that has more variation on purpose so that the design that I'm finishing is going to have more color variation in it. Now, you might think it's a bit unusual. I am using my Pierce mat under this cling stamp. Usually I only use my Pierce mat when I'm using a photopolymer stamp. But this is a distinctive stamp with a lot of detail. And I'm also putting it on this variegated paper. So I want to make sure that you can see all of the detail that I'm stamping. And I'm also not stamping in black, so I also need to be a little bit more careful with that. So sometimes I use the pierce tool as just another way to make sure that I get a great image. And there we go with our stamped image. And I'll get this off to the side here. And I'll just slide the ink up there. So here we go. And how pretty is that? And you can see where the variegations, the lighter part of the center of those roses is over the lighter part of this paper. All right, so then to use this in my design, I am going to use the die set that goes with it to cut this out, which I've already done. So there was a full die to put over this to cut this out. And just to save time today, I did already do that. Now this paper had a different little pattern on it. So you can see that there's some different light and dark spots on this one. All right, so I'll just leave that for another card. Set this to the side. And then I wanted to just point out here is some additional designer series paper, and I'm going to feature that in this card too. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just cut. Many times when I put a strip of designer series paper in as part of the card insert, I'll do 4 inches by 3/4 inches. So that's what I'm actually going to do. This has already been cut to 6 by 4. I think many of you know how I save my designer series paper in those photo boxes. So this is already cut to 4 inches, and now I'm just going to cut it down to 3/4 of an inch. So just hold this in place. And instead of using just one, because I have enough paper here, I'm actually going to cut 2 of these. All right, so that is going to be for the card insert. And I still could cut out these corners to use under another sentiment. So I'm not going to waste that. All right, so we'll get our trimmer out of the way. And I'm going to bring in some Calypso Coral and have that be my card base. Now this is just the regular size card base that I use for medium size envelope. It is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's creased at 4 1/4. So we've got our card base, and actually I'm making a landscape card today, so I'm going to just move that around. Now this could be pumpkin pie. This is actually a piece of craft paper that I have. On the tutorial though, I'm listing it as pumpkin pie because if you don't have craft brown, or you do have pumpkin pie, or maybe you have retired soft suede, any of those colors will work with this. All right, and then I took some strips from other pieces of the designer series paper. Now what I wanted to just let you know is I just took out of, oh gosh, what did I use? 4 of the pieces of designer series paper, and I literally took a 1.5 inch strip. So you know how many times that can go across, right? 6 times across. 1.5, 3 inches by 12 by 4, actually 8 times I can get strips off of my 12 by 12. And then I cut these at 3 3/4. So I got so many strips that I'm going to be able to make a number of cards using this same design and hardly using any of my designer series paper. So this is one way that you can use just scraps of your designer series paper. Okay, we're always kind of looking for designs that we can use when we only have a little of something left. Well, then I decided that with the colors that were in this, that I was going to pick 2 different patterns, but paper that but the same color scheme, and then kind of put a third one in here. And then, you know, I decided that I wanted my card base to match my image. So I'm going to go ahead and create this card front by gluing down these strips that I have that are, once again, I'll just remind you, 1.5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm going to go, and I always do the ones on the sides first so that I can, you know, line them up with the same amount of space in between the strips. So I just kind of eyeball that I've got the sides all the same around the strip. And then I'll do the same on the other side. So sometimes another card design without using this card front is actually making these strips just a little bit bigger, and you can put it on your card base, you know, front itself without having to use another piece of cardstock. That's up to you. And sometimes people will also take these designer series strips and put some cardstock just around them each individually. So this design of taking 3 strips across the front of a card is very versatile, very popular. You know, it's an easy way to bring some more color into your card. And then I'm going to go ahead and just glue this card front right onto the top of my card base. All right, now that we've got that done, I'm going to, let's see here. For the card, we'll do the card insert last. So I'm just going to leave this over to the side. And now what I'd like to do is, you could put this flat on here. You can raise this with dimensionals, but I thought it looked kind of plain. So there were 2 things that I wanted to do with this. And one is I already glued down the card front. If I had not done that, I have a scrap of ribbon that I was just going to put behind here, tape down to the edges, and then tie a knot with this color. I'll have to do that on the other card when I'm done. But what I am going to do is I have some Calypso Coral ribbon here, and I'm going to actually tie that around the whole card and make a bow on here, if I can get it open. There we go. So I'm just going to, oh gosh, that's so thin. I think I'm just going to make a bow with it to decorate this. It's so thin. So, you know, I would just find a coordinating color and go ahead and either put the ribbon across or just make a bow. You could use linen thread for this. And then just kind of work with your bow until you have the loops the size that you want them to be. All right, I've got that. Let's kind of just let that sit here for a minute. And I am going to pop this up. But as I was saying, I think that this needs something else to make it pop. So there were some additional dies in this set that I decided to add once I put this in place. So I'm going to just take off the backings here. And I did put a couple extra dimensionals just because this is designer series paper and it's not cardstock. So let's go ahead and just put this straight across. And then some of the die cuts. So there was actually a 5-piece leaf here. And I can do that, or I can cut this up a little bit, which I think is what I'm going to do because it's just a little large. Also, I just die cut off the edge of the piece of paper with this one. And that was perfect with it being 3 leaves. So I'm just going to put this one right here in the corner. Let me go ahead and just put a little bit of glue. I'm going to use my silicone mat here so I don't get glue on the table. And I'm just going to put a little bit on each leaf just to tack it down. It's not going to go anywhere because I'm going to tuck it under that other die cut. And just hold it in place while it adheres to the front of the card. All right, and I think I'm going to make another piece of 3 by just clipping this one. And I'm going to do this on the other side. And I think you can tell, I think this, just that little bit of brown really makes a difference in kind of showing off the roses just a little bit more. And then let's see if I can't I'm just going to take the small leaf here and find a little place to put that. I think we'll pop that right up there on the blue. There we go. All right, and now for our bow. I'm actually going to cut off these tails a bit. They're a little bit obnoxious. And I'm just going to put this up towards the front here, or the top, I mean. And I'm going to use a mini glue dot to do that. So let me grab my mini glue dots here. And this is just a little piece of adhesive. That's going to work just perfect. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Hi, Bonita. Kathy, thanks. Yeah, I think the leaves really did make a good addition. And I like doing them in brown, not necessarily a green. I could have done it in a green, but I thought I'd keep this a little bit more monochromatic. I'm going to put the glue dot right where the knot is. And then have it hold down my tails a little bit where I want it. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and do the card insert here. And I'm going to glue each of these onto the side. But before I do that, I'm going to do my sentiment just to make sure I do it straight. And then I'll glue this down. So I'm going to get back my pecan pie. Now, I did make another Mother's Day card I'll show you. But I'm going to make this one a birthday card, because this is also one of the sentiments in this stamp set. Just got to make sure I didn't hit the edges here. All right. And I'm going to center this. That's why I laid out where I'm going to put those 2 side pieces so I could be in the center. And then I'm going to glue these down. Just right on each side of that card insert. Just hold it a second. Now I'll do the other one. Hi, Betty. Glad you could join us today. Oh, it got a little heavy on the glue there. Okay. All right, now it's ready to be flipped over, and I'm going to glue that right inside the card. And then I'll show you the other card that I made. using a whole nother color scheme. All right. So what do you think of having the the designer series paper on the sides? Just adding a little bit to it. Now you could put leaves or, also stamp a rose in here if you wanted to. I kind of liked it just this way. I also have a little bit more room to write. And then this is the card completed. And let's see, let me show you the other one I made. So this is using Pool Party and then having the Calypso Coral designer series paper being the accent. And then this is very nice Happy Mother's Day stamp from this set. And I did the same thing on the card insert. So those are two examples of, very quick and easy, whether it be a Mother's Day card or all occasion card. I think the tips are to use your designer series paper actually as the floral variation in colors, to use your die cuts whenever you can and the contrasting color, and then using these 3 strips on a card front are very effective for creating an interesting card front. So just 2 things to remind you of today. Actually, as part of Flower Fest, I'm going to be doing the first card conversation, and I'm so excited. 45 of you have signed up to be in the private Facebook group that's going to happen today at 3 o'clock. And what we're going to do is look at cards and talk about card design, just like I was showing you, different ways to do this and how simple it is to design a card. And hopefully you keep track of those notes so that when you're trying to make a card, you have ideas to draw from. Anyway, anyone that posts a card for myself and others to comment on are going to be entered in a drawing to win these fun flowers resin shapes. And so they're, from Stampin' Up! And I look forward to doing this drawing for people that are participating. I also just want to tell you ahead, I'm going to be trying a new function in the private Facebook group for us to actually be able to chat. Now, if that doesn't work, we're going to do just like, this live. It will be like that. And I'll keep working on trying to get the chat function, but I'm hoping we can actually talk with each other, and there'll be more information in that Facebook group. So the post before this, I believe, is how to get in that private Facebook group. I will post it again. So if you haven't signed up, please do. And join in the chat, and let's have a little fun this afternoon talking about card design. And then the last thing is just a reminder, as the month is starting to wind down, if there are any products from Stampin' Up! That you're interested in, and the clearance rack has just been refreshed, and this is right before the mini catalog and the annual catalog retire, any $50 worth of products bought through Stampin' Up!, I will send you this free 4-card tutorial on using the Fresh as a Daisy Suite collection. And these card designs can be used on any stamps, any suites, any designer series paper that you have. So you'll be able to use it whether or not you have this suite. So I hope to be able to share that with you. And outside of that, let me just go back here and say thanks so much for joining me on Facebook Live today. I do hope to talk to you again in Card Conversations at 3 o'clock Central Time this afternoon. And that's in the private Facebook group called Plum Crazy Stamping Card Conversations. Anyway, take care and happy stamping, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye now.